For a long time, I was into yoga, very into yoga. I was very interested in and would attune to chakras, but with Buddhist meditation and kind of drifting toward a more Buddhist worldview and meditation, and of course, stream entry. All that went by the wayside. Chakras, peering into chakras, especially if you peer into them too hard and seek to manipulate them, that is construction of experience. And liberation is not about experience, it's about purity of senses. In the seen, only the seen, and the heard, only the heard, and the cognized, only the cognized, and the sense of freedom that comes from that. And with that, peering into chakras, and especially manipulation of energetic field, is a no-no, because that's entanglement. There's only one way out, and that's letting go. And I do believe that. That accords with my experience. I don't like to use the word belief, because belief means that there's some idea that someone had and you adopt it and you believe it without any proof, but without direct experience. But if there's direct experience, that's just experience. And it leaves room for change. But after stream entry, there's still karmic complexes and rough patches and such things. Plenty of them. It's all being unwound and resolved naturally and spontaneously without any intervention. But that doesn't mean they're not still there. They are very much still there. The unwinding process is slow. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. And honestly, I think it'll just continue for a lifetime. I don't think I've met a single person who's free of such karmic complexes at all, no matter what their claims are. At least no one on the internet. No one I've met personally. After stream entry, there's a sense of freedom, especially farther down the line, that really just things are just happening and unfolding, and there's really a sense of freedom that just do things and behavior just unfolds, and there's no thinking about it. And it is seen that the thinking about it was just detritus on life. But worse than detritus, it doesn't just flake off. It's like it's tangled and in there, and but afterward things just flow and unfold. But there's a emerging realization in me that things can flow and unfold, but since the karmic complexes and twists and turns are still there, that things can flow and unfold out of those complexes. And the situations that emerge out of that can be perhaps not as ideal as you'd like. In my life, that manifests as a lot of, let's say, work. For whatever reason, that's what I'm orientated to. And Virgo has to Virgo. But it's like work that doesn't necessarily lead anywhere. And the realization of that also emerges spontaneously. But in any case, and when I look at lately, for whatever reason, I was looking into my own chakras like I would in the past. And one of them sticks out, and that is the solar plexus chakra. That solar plexus chakra, it's always ready to go. It's ready to dive in headfirst into whatever activity or uh, whatever, in my case, businesses that I'd start. And for a few years now, I just went with it. And I learned a lot. But this is something I've noticed about myself for some time, for years, for probably more than a decade, is that the solar plexus chakra tends toward, it's kind of intense. It kind of behaves like a snake that doesn't have a head. It just moves and moves and doesn't necessarily have a purpose. And I see how that's reflected in my outer life. It's always working, but not necessarily toward anything. And I see how, even beyond the Manipura, the solar plexus chakra, how these things shift and move with the tides. I want to read something from Arnold Mendel's book, The Dream Body. Dream Body. The energetic exchange between chakras is governed by the so-called Tatwic tides, which follow astrological and planetary influences. In other words, the body states and fantasies appearing at any given moment are personal manifestations of the period Tao, the changing collective unconscious, the field in which we live. The body states and fantasies appearing in any given moment are personal manifestations of the period Tao. That is very deep. And yes, I notice how my actions and priorities shift and change with the wind, with the seasons, with the planetary tides. There's a lot of Leo in the air right now. There was an eclipse yesterday. 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. There was an eclipse in Leo. I got out my glasses, my eclipse glasses from 2024, and I looked at the sun, and it had a little bite out of it. The eclipse is in Leo. Jupiter's in Leo. Mercury's in Leo. And there's this rattling. I have a lot of Leo. And rattling around in the back of my head for a while now has been taking the idea of taking acting classes for various reasons. Mostly to understand humans better. But acting is a Leo activity. Right? And finally yesterday I signed up. This is the shifting tides. An illustration, an example of these shifting tides.